All right, so this week it was kind of a light week. There wasn't much going on. Probably more political news than gaming news, but there were a couple of things that we'll go over. Couple of leaks based off of Xbox announcements, and also when they're going to release data about Lockhouse. And everything just seems to be getting pushed back. Is basically what's going on right now. So they're just re-announcing all the dates and when they may happen, or when people think they're going to happen. There's also a lot of rumored games that may come out for the Xbox X. So I guess we can talk about that and just say the games we want to talk about or we want to come out. But yeah, it's been a pretty light week. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it really has. Because, I mean, the interesting thing is that last month, before the showcase that Xbox showed off, they announced this whole Xbox 2020 thing, which was supposed to be a whole every month we're going to give you news. And nothing happened in June. And I mean, I'll give them, they have 24 hours or so left. Like, there's definitely one
Yeah.
more day in June, but there has not been any news really. They've had some Xbox Wire articles talking about velocity architecture, backwards compatibility, so maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
But Aaron Greenberg, I believe, tweeted out saying that the June info would be not dealt. It would be delivered differently. It wouldn't be like an Inside Xbox. But
Okay.
I also don't think anybody has said like that was the 2020 news. So maybe tomorrow we're gonna get some
Yeah.
weird last minute news. But I can't imagine what it'll be because a lot of the rumors are saying that the Lockhart or whatever they're the Series S thing
Yeah.
that's gonna be an August thing, which I think is really late.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I saw too. Is August. But I mean, those are just projections as well. I mean, that
Yeah,
is not a solid date either.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I guess I get it. There's a lot going on for companies right now, and also just the way that we're, reversing on the quarantine and everything like that. So it makes sense that, things might get a little slow currently. So
Yeah,
hopefully it'll speed back up, and we'll get a regular schedule because it would be nice, coming up to the Christmas season to really understand what's going on, especially with the other announcements that we had last week. And it just, most of those games that we got told aren't actually coming out, for the release. And so I just want more news. I think people are just a little hungry
oh yeah.
for more things to come out, more excitement, because I think we've been a little underwhelmed on both sides, both PlayStation 4 or yeah, PlayStation 4 and Xbox X.
Yeah, and I think it's just both companies trying to see who's going to display the most first, which is a valid thing to be doing. Of just wait for the other one to show off. And I think that Sony's presentation might have caused Xbox to push their July event to a later date in July rather than early to mid, which I think a lot of people were thinking was going to be. But now the current rumors, again, these are all rumors, so they could all be wrong. Is a
Yeah,
later July, and I think that does hold some merit because the Series X one in May was definitely low production value. We had a lot of shitty mics and mic
yeah,
and videos, and it definitely didn't hold up. And I think Sony was adamant about being professional, and their presentation was maybe underwhelming in parts, but they definitely were like felt very professional, high quality
yeah, yeah. It was
cameras at all
good.
points in time. So I hope and Phil Spencer called that out and said he was very impressed with the production value there. So I think that they might be making sure that they live up to those expectations because that's the type of presentation Xbox needs to show, especially when they reveal these big first party titles.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the big thing. I mean they have the big guns to drop. Obviously Halo. I mean everyone's gonna shit their pants when videos of that start coming out.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like they don't need. They have the loaded gun where I don't even know. PlayStation 4. I don't know what they will have left. It almost seems like they gave everything that's going to launch. I'm sure there might be a couple of things. There are a couple of games that like are kind of floating out there, but I don't know which side they'll go on. The ones that I looked at, because we were saying, we'll look up games that we're kind of interested and see and hope that will come out. I instantly went to Fable, which is interesting because I found that Phil Spencer kind of said it's not dead. So that's another Xbox title, I suppose. I'm actually really excited to see where this is going to go because there was a game, when Lionheart went under it,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
they were
Fable Legends.
Fable Legends. So I'm curious to know, and it was more of like a I don't know, I wouldn't say MMO, but it kind of, it was more of a like
it was kind of MOBA-y too. Like
Yeah.
it seemed very hero-y, and from my understanding, I know Fable. I mean, Fable Legends was canceled, and like all of the rumors surrounding the Fable reboot have been that it is a complete reboot. Like this is
Oh,
just gonna
okay. Yeah.
completely redo that franchise, which I think is good because I don't know. I mean, it's been a very long time since Fable has been in the game space. I don't think, and I also don't think that it was ever as. It was not terribly prominent. I mean, it had 3 games and they were really great, and a lot of
And I
people
don't
did
know.
like them, but I think now is definitely the time to just completely redo that. And I think a lot of people think that the Fable game is going to kind of act as their answer to Horizon and The Legend of Zelda, because every other platform has a
Yeah.
big open world RPG that's huge, big budget, and Xbox has not had one in a long time. So I
Well,
am completely down for that.
Fable's really, I mean, it's been an interesting game, ever since like the first one where they made outrageous promise. I mean, it was one of the first games to like just make ridiculous promises that they couldn't hold on to. But it really did get excitement, even though people were pissed off at the end. But it got excitement for the series, and it's an
Yeah,
interesting series because it does do things a little bit differently, like and brings trends that you don't really think that they started there. Like they really did. Like what was it? I think it was Fable 3 that did the dog, where the dog was a very prominent part of your journey.
yeah, because
And
the
no one
first
really
three
had
was
done that.
the
You
first three was
know?
Peter Molyneux, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes,
Or yeah, like he was
wasn't
involved.
he?
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
pretty
I
sure.
believe so. That sounds right. I'm not the best with names, so.
That's all right.
Um, but yeah, I mean it. I mean the first one was they promised that there was going to be realistic aging and that everything you did was going to influence the world. But and I mean that's kind of always been their goal. So it's almost like they made a promise in what was that, like 2002, that they've consistently been trying to fulfill, and they get a
Yeah,
little closer each time. Like it does feel more and more real, like with the relationships. And there's no other game like that has the relationships in the way that this game does. So I don't know, I think there's a huge fan base. I think that it was, I'm glad that they kept the series going. I mean, that's why I think people were so shocked that the company went under, because it was I thought it was a huge game. I thought it was a very big contender. And to see that they could fail was like, everyone's like, oh, if they can fail, we can all fail.
yeah, and I mean, I think it sucks that Lionhead went under, and I think it was just a product of Xbox at that time. Because I know, I mean, Fable was pretty consistently part of Xbox. I couldn't remember the release date. So we've got Fable 1 was 04 on the original Xbox, and then Fable 2 was 08, and Fable 3 was 2010, and then 2013 was when we saw Fable Legends. So that it had been part of the Xbox library for some time, but it kind of never. I just feel like it was never cemented as a game as big as Halo or Gears. Like when people see Xbox, they think Halo and Gears, but Fable was kind of like, oh yeah, then there's Fable. And I think
Yeah.
that this time around, the reason they kind of want to reboot it and they're giving it to, I think the current rumor that's been a while is Playground, who are the guys who made Forza
Yeah,
Horizon.
that's what I saw too.
This is them. They really want this to be this. This is also part of Xbox, which also makes sense with the fact that um, they've spent the past 3 to 4 years under Phil Spencer getting all these new studios. So we've kind of had no exclusives for Xbox, or like a small amount,
Yeah.
and now from what I'm seeing in the showcase, is this is supposed to be them finally saying, now that we have all these studios, this is what you're gonna expect, which is exactly what everyone wants.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I guess
Um,
Fable, because of Legends getting canceled, it has been 10 years since we have seen a new Fable. I don't think Fable will come out this year, I at all, but it's been a
I
long
feel like they
time.
have to announce it though. I mean, there
Oh,
has to be something, because
absolutely.
with that comment that he made, I mean, he set a fire that he, obviously needs to be tended to.
Yeah.
Because now everyone's really, really excited, and at least seeing the project in the following year. But yeah, you're probably right. If they had it anywhere near completion, they would have announced it.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think I'm curious of. It has been a couple years that this rumor has been going around, so I'm wondering how far they are. Like, I think they're gonna announce it because I think Xbox wants to kind of do what Sony did, where they showed some games that were coming out this year, but then they want to kind of show what it means to buy an Xbox and why you should buy one and then kind of invest in it later. Um,
yeah. Well,
so
Sony, I don't know. Sony's choices for games for that were a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, and
Small games. It's like
I
indie games.
wonder. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It was kind of a weird. I just think Sony's at a disinteresting point because they just released two huge games for the or they're about to release the second one, but like Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima from their first party, like those are
Yeah.
gigantic games. So like of course they don't have much more down the line. It's just again I kind of wonder if maybe the PlayStation 5 was supposed to come out next year.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
think I said PlayStation 4 earlier. Sorry, I meant PlayStation 5.
yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. Apologies. Um, yeah, another game that I was like, that kind of fell off the face was Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I don't know if you were ever a fan of this game or played the original one, but they announced this back in 2017, and
Wow,
then
it's
they
really been
showed,
that long.
yeah, they
Oh my
E3
god.
2017, and they showed gameplay in 2018, and it's just nothing since then. And it looked good. I mean, people were freaking excited about it. I was that was one of the games that I remember at that E3 when I watched it. I'm like, hell yeah,
Oh yeah,
this
lots.
is
I mean,
amazing.
yeah, it's very anticipated, and I know that's under Ubisoft, so I don't know what the whole deal is with that. I remember the only details they gave off was it was a prequel. I believe it's a prequel, even though it's called
Yeah,
2. It's like Red Dead Redemption, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I that would be a great game for PlayStation 5. I mean, I think that a lot of people would rally behind that. I mean, it's not going to sell consoles maybe, but in the same way Halo is going to sell consoles. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not the biggest, but still, I think there's at least a fan base.
Yeah, I guess I'm really curious how much third party we're gonna see at this July event because I know Xbox says it's their first party event. So if they don't show third party off, I guess that's expected. So any third party that we see at this event is going to be a surprise. But if we don't, then I don't know. I just feel like we. I wonder if E3 it just kind of would have been very first party driven, like it seems to be now. Like there just seems like a lot of studios that haven't really said much. And again, it's only June.
Yeah, that's
But
true. It is only June.
and I get maybe just a lot of studios are not wanting to release in this holiday season because it's a console jump. You're going up against Halo and Cyberpunk, a new Call of Duty, like usual.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is like, and all these will be delayed. That's so every time you need to, stop and maybe even redesign for the new console, and for the specs that you're going to be given. It takes a little while. It takes a little while for people to get on board. But I don't know, just with like the way that they have been presenting the future and what it means to be part of the same things you're saying. It's like these are the games I'm looking for when I look to 2022, or like
Yeah.
these are the games I want to hear about. These are the things I want to be promised. I don't care about some indie company that's making a game I've never heard of. Fulfill the promises you've already made, and I'll be happy. I don't care when they come out.
Yeah, like I think I really hope that Xbox is kind of trying to show us what the future of Xbox is because I think that is what we need. Like again, when it comes to those small indie games, it's great to see them and like I'll support them, but again, a lot of those games are going to be either on PC or they're going to be on the Xbox One and PS4 because they're not really needing to push that limit.
Yeah.
So I want to see why should I be dropping cash in November or
Yeah.
December whenever these come out.
I mean, do you see a reason for, was it what's it called? It's the
Lockhart,
Xbox
yeah,
Lockhart. Okay.
Lockhart is what the rumored
Yeah. Okay.
company is.
So, yeah. Do you see like a reason for this? I mean, I guess it's for people that what I read was it's like just a stream box. Like that's what people will use it for if they just want to experience the Xbox Cloud game service.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the idea that a lot of people thought early on, and I think more recently we've seen a couple of rumors where it's just a lower powered machine that can still play the new games, and that kind of was vague. But I think it was yesterday I saw that there was a rumor that came out that said that the processor was going to be the same, but the
Okay.
graphics wasn't. So from my based on that, oh, and it wouldn't have a disk drive. That's like also the big thing. So I th-
Okay.
I think what they're trying to do is, I mean, Sony did this already. They took the disk drive out, and it's going to save them at anywhere between $50 and $100. But at the end of the day, the hardware is the same. You just can't put a
Yeah, the
disc in
hardware
it.
is the same.
And I think what Xbox is looking at is there's a good amount of people like they want to make a badass console, and that series and the Series X is like it is definitely a absolute monster, and that comes at a price, and there's going to be people who are going to get that right away, but some people are like maybe not wanting to spend that much, or maybe they don't have a 4K TV. Um,
Yeah, that's the other
so
thing it said.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that the Lockhart Series S, whatever they're going to call it, is going to be the same processor, same SSD. It just has no disk drive, and it has a graphics card that can push out maybe 1440p.
Yeah.
But I think just they want that to be a machine that can hold the frame rates at 60, like 1080 60 is the target, 1440 be great. And I think because of that, they could drop this thing like $200 cheaper than whatever the Series X is because you have no disk drive. It's a smaller unit
You
to
think that
make.
much? Because other people are saying like $100 would be great, and like that's what I was
Yeah,
reading.
I think that was like the conservative choice, but when you look at the fact that the graphics card is going to be such a downgrade and
Yeah.
that's a cheaper power supply, it's a cheaper cooling unit, it's no disk drive. So like honestly, I think that they're going to be able to cut a shit ton of corners
I mean,
because they
is
don't have this beast of a machine to cool off anymore. It's just a
yeah.
next gen processor, which is probably not going to take as much power. So I do think that they could maybe get it significantly cheaper. And maybe that's what they want to do is to get it so cheap that, anyone can really go get it.
Yeah. I mean, is this the way we're going to be headed in the future? I mean, are we going to be more like graphics cards and processors where there's tiers and like, it's kind of interesting because this is the first time this has kind of happened
Oh
where
yeah.
on launch we've had options. I mean, yeah, I guess on launch this is the first time that I was going to say that the Switch, but the other Switch came out like a couple years, or it was about a year later, right?
The
The
light.
smaller one, the
Yeah.
Lite, yeah.
No, this is
Um,
definitely like unprecedented behavior. So I don't know if we can't really go off of history to
yeah,
ask is this going to work. I mean, the Xbox One X was a pretty good success. Like it, and same with the S. Like the current model that Xbox is running, which is here's the S model, which is the cheaper version that's just going to play your games, and then there's the X who tries to get 4K. That seems to be working great for them.
but a
So
lot
I
of those things are under the guise that like as technology gets better, we're able to shrink down the
exactly.
device and like we're able to make it quieter, we're able to make it run faster, but it still runs the same games, it still does the same thing you want, just everything's just a little bit smoother, and
Yeah.
it's just it's a half measure, in between consoles. It's a half console. They become the half consoles. Where this isn't really a half console. This is like a budget version, which
Yeah,
is
and I mean it's exciting because I think the other market that this opens up is not only for people who need the budget console or they don't care about 1080p gaming or 4K gaming, is the people who might want to have more than one Xbox in their house, which I'm one of those people. So I have my X on my main, just like where all of my games are, that's where my X is. But then I have a separate TV in another room that has the S on it because I'm like I'm not going to play there all of the time, but it's nice
yeah.
to have. So to have a console that's so much cheaper, it'd be nice to be able to like take my entire house and give it into the next gen uh, at kind of a budget. So
The problem is though for those people that aren't going to be buying the budget machine because they're hardcore and they want to have the best thing
yeah,
is now they're able to inflate the prices because they're no longer trying to adapt to have the most people buy their console because now they can just make a budget machine and say, oh well, that'll take care of the lower half, and now we can rake up the prices for the higher half that's going to buy it no matter what. It's kind of like VR equipment and everything else the way it's going. It's like
no,
yeah,
yeah, I see how they could, but I think the fact that they haven't, again, like we're talking as if this is confirmed, which it has never been confirmed. So
oh, okay. Well, this is the week of rumors.
yeah,
So
exactly. So this is all a rumor. So, if this never happened, then they don't have that lower budget model to talk about. So, and I
yeah,
mean, so since they haven't talked about it, every time they've been asked about the price of the Series X, which is currently the only console they're talking about, they say that they're going to be super agile on the price and they want to drive it down because I think this Series S Lockhart thing won't compete with the PS5 on power. I mean, it'll have the SSD and the processor, but it won't push out the 4K visuals and the ray tracing and those
yeah.
next gen things. So they need something to compete with the PlayStation 5, and I think the PlayStation 5 is going to determine the Series X price, and then the Lockhart is just going to fall wherever it can.
Well,
So
how much have they announced any? I don't think they have about the fully digital PlayStation 5. The cost, the difference between
no.
those two. I mean, and so it's like, and I don't imagine those would be very much different in price. I mean, maybe a little bit less. I mean, what does a disk drive really cost these days?
Yeah,
Um,
I think I think the what we can go off of is that the when the Series or the Xbox One S all digital edition came out, I think it dropped the price by $50 only, maybe 60.
okay.
And that's a 4K Blu-ray player that they just took out. So I'm assuming that if PlayStation is gonna play it safe in terms of making a profit off of a console, they're gonna cut it. It's gonna be a $50 difference. But if they're aggressive, it'll be $100 difference. And I think they will be aggressive because if you, and I think the reason is if you take a bigger loss on the all digital edition, by the at the end of the day, you're going to be getting more money because
Yeah.
if someone buys the digital, now they have to buy games through the PlayStation Store, which they get a cut for. You don't have to make their disc for them. So I think Sony would be smart to make it at least $100 cheaper and just take the hit because they're going to get it back with PlayStation digital sales.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting because I think that this purchasing um, at the for those two different consoles is really going to decide where we're going to head in the future with digital only.
Yeah.
And because now and it'll be interesting to see how many actual disc games get made and like if it's even difficult to buy them at the stores and like if all distributors are going to still honor the disc like Target and
Yeah.
whatever Toys R Us because it's going to start dwindling. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
definitely going to. We're seeing the change in the sea right now. Um, I'm actually surprised that they even offer a disc, but I've been saying that for the last two consoles. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah, I think the only reason Xbox is doing it is for backwards compatibility. And again, I think it's more of like an international thing of maybe in the U.S. we could afford to be all digital, but in other places they just don't have the internet, and even places in the U.S. just don't have the internet for all digital. So it makes sense, and I think the reasoning of if you go all digital now, the console is gonna or the console maker like Sony would be making more money off of the game sales
Yeah,
applies also to Xbox, which is if this console is just the 1080p next gen gaming machine, it's also the Games Pass machine. So that if they sell this thing and they just tell you, "Hey, get Game Pass," they're going to be just raking in money because Game Pass is just exploding and is a huge
yeah, it
success
is.
for Microsoft. So, I mean, I was watching this. They have the program where you could just like pay them monthly and you get an Xbox with Game Pass currently for like I think the Xbox One X. So they could just
What do you
introduce
mean?
that.
What do you
It's
mean? Oh, it's just a.
it's like not renting the hardware, but like you just get it and you pay them $20 a month and you
So
it's
there's
kind of like
online
a
services for
contract.
this. You just kind of like go and or are you renting it specifically from what? Who?
Microsoft. I think it's
From
called
Microsoft.
yeah, I think it's
Really?
called Xbox All Digital Access or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, so that's another thing of if they made the console cheap enough to buy, they could honestly just tell people, hey, if you just sign up for this 2 years, you make sure that you get Game Pass for 2 years. We'll just here's the console.
Yeah, that's true.
So they could get honestly, Microsoft could get super aggressive with this thing if it exists, and I
Yeah.
want them to. So
But
we'll
everybody
see.
else has the capability of doing this as well. So it's not like they're the only ones that are out there that are doing cloud-based, streaming.
Oh
But
yeah,
so I don't know how. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to now. Where do you want to put all your games? And then, but I think they're going to win out because they have the operating system, that you can now play on Windows. You can play all your games on Windows. And so I think people might gravitate towards that. It just really depends. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
I think right now it does. It really depends on this event. If Xbox comes out and their games are blowing people away, I like Xbox is currently behind Sony because Sony has had great studios with great exclusives for years now, for a whole generation now. So
yeah.
if Xbox can say, "Hey, we are just as good, just different, and our console's more powerful," and then if the price is different, then that's huge. But we don't know yet. So
So what kind of games do you think are going to get announced?
yeah, so the current So the current thing that's been working its way through many YouTube channels of speculation is just this list, which some of it does sound pretty legit, and some of it definitely does sound like someone really, really wanting their favorite game to happen. So I wanted to go through it. So the first thing
Yeah.
that they said was Senua's Saga's Hellblade 2 story trailer. I could see this happening at the July event. We already
Okay.
saw this at the Game Awards. Um, I would love if they somehow had gameplay for Hellblade 2 running on Unreal Engine 5, but I think that's a stretch. But it'd be very impressive. It's a game
Yeah.
that's going to show off the technical prowess of this console because I think it's already confirmed that Hellblade 2 will not launch on current gen consoles. It's not going to be a game that cross launches like they're promising Halo Infinite and some of the first year games. This is made just for the Series X, but
It
also
makes
for PC.
sense. I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of what they did at the event. That was the whole. This was the game that everyone's like, "Holy crap, this looks amazing."
yeah,
Um,
and that's another game where they're trying to really show that they can make great narrative, realistic looking games, which is Sony's forte.
yeah,
Next is Forza Motorsport 8. I think this is not. I think it's definitely going to be at the show, and it's inevitable. I know there's rumors that it's not going to come out this year, and it's going to be a Series X exclusive, which I think it should be, because apparently it's going to be running. I mean, I think it would make sense for a game like Forza that's such a tech demo-y game if it runs at 4K, 120 frames with ray tracing. And I think an extra year of development, I think they could probably push that out. So that's
it also,
exciting.
but you know what? With the Forza games, they feel kind of like sports games in a way. Like they're guaranteed to come out. Like I think that the thing that is going to drive most people is Gran Turismo, to be honest. Just because I don't think it hasn't been out for a while, and it's like, I mean, I knew
And
a Forza game was going to come out.
well, yeah, and that's why I think it's not going to come out this year is because I think they are realizing that yeah, we've had the same Forza, we've had a game every single year, whether it be Horizon or the Motorsport series, which I'm glad that they
Yeah,
alternate. That's a really
yeah,
great change of pace, but and I think that they want to make a racing game like Gran Turismo where it's only on the next gen. And
yeah.
because they already said we want games that come out in this current year and maybe next year to be cross gen, that if they push it out one more year, they can get away with saying it's only on the Series X, which I think is a good bet. I want Forza to just look absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, I just worry about some games when they oversaturate. It just starts to feel like sports games.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh well, it just comes out the next year, and it's like great, whatever. It's like I could just play the last one. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. So I
Of
also
course,
hope
I'm not
that
a huge fan of the series, so maybe I'm the wrong person to make statements. But
yeah,
yeah,
and then maybe this extra year of development will also just kind of give the franchise some new life because I
yeah,
think that's definitely been a thing. The past, I think every Forza game on the Xbox One has been very just kind of yeah cut and paste and just it's definitely gotten better. And I think it was in 8 they introduced open wheel racing, which was a
yeah.
cool technical thing. So yeah, I think an extra year is just gonna only benefit that franchise.
Well, look what happened in Need for Speed. I mean, that got so
Oh
oversaturated,
yeah.
and that there were some really good games in that series,
Oh, I
and
miss
it's
yeah.
like, and it could have been great, but they just game after game after game. It's like Jesus, guys,
Yeah, I
just
mean
slow
it was
down.
at that period where Call of Duty coming out yearly was just making so much damn money that everybody was like, okay, if we have any franchise who can be yearly, we're making it yearly. So like Assassin's Creed
Yeah,
and yeah, Need for Speed just went yeah, it just turned into a crap fest of games. And
and they just had so many different versions of the game, and it's just I don't know.
yeah, no,
I
I
was
don't I know there's still Need for Speeds coming out. I don't know the last one, but for me, the game that captures what Need for Speed was are the Horizon Forza games, and they're just fantastic at street racing rather than the
yeah,
realistic racing. So,
yeah.
yeah, we'll see. All right, let's see. Fable reboot or talk about that. Halo Infinite. If it's not there, I'm pretty sure we would start bombing Xbox or
They're
something
they're
like.
canceling it. It's
Yeah.
sorry guys, we're
So
no longer gonna continue the Halo series.
yeah, this leak says they're going to get a story trailer and a multiplayer gameplay. I think that is the bare minimum we need to get. Earlier this week, no, this is oh my god, it's Monday. Last week, we got a teaser on Twitter for the story of Halo Infinite, which confirmed that the enemies from Halo Wars 2 were going to be in this game. So it kind of continues that story, which was really exciting, and it got a lot of people talking about Halo for a day.
Yeah,
So there's definitely, yeah, we are hungry for a new Halo that takes us all back to the great days. So I think we want to see a story trailer because that matters, but I think multiplayer is really where
Well, I want to
we
see
need.
like exactly what they did for Master Chief Collection, where they just flooded the esports scene before it came out, and I loved that. And that's I want to see the top like throw a tournament on like before early,
Yeah.
and let me see professionals play this game because that's just that would be so interesting because you get to see what they're able to do, especially like if it was they'd never played it before, so you get to
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, to do a little Halo side rant, because I'll always be down for that.
Yeah.
I think that 343's had a very good point with Halo in terms of how we all perceive them, because they definitely had a couple rough years because Halo 4 didn't land how they wanted. Halo 5 really did not land how they wanted. But something that's been absent from Halo for a while, which is what you said, which is the MLG. Because when Reach
Yeah.
came out, which was Bungie's last game, that kind of killed the MLG scene for Halo because of a lot of changes that were in that game, most notably Bloom and a
Yeah.
lot of just it really killed it. And then Halo 4 didn't really put any effort into getting that back, which is fine. It was their first game, so like they were up against a lot. And then Halo 5 they really tried, I think, almost too much to be MLG, and they were really
Well, they
pushing it, and they
they
hired
tried
an
to be too
MLG
much to be
team.
Call of Duty was the problem with 5.
Yeah,
I mean, they just followed suit with the advanced movement stuff. I mean, that
yeah,
was the
and I
problem.
mean,
It was like, oh, just another. They just became another advanced movement game.
yeah, and I mean, there was a large audience who enjoyed Halo 5, and it definitely had a lot of MLGs coming back, and like the scene for a Halo MLG was at least existed.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I mean, I think we can all agree that Halo 5 was great. It just wasn't that, it was not a Halo game. So we'll see if they go back on that. But right now, with the Master Chief Collection coming out on PC, every time one of those things happen, everyone is super excited. So it's really just all up to 343. They just got to they just got to stick the landing, and I think it'll be great.
Yeah. No, I think they do. And when Master Chief Collection came out, and I don't know if you remember that, but when they did that whole week of like tournaments and like
Yeah.
it was just I don't know. It was so much fun because I was so excited, to see the community coming back and see all my favorite players and stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. You know what? This is how they should launch every single game.
Yeah.
This is exactly they have the capability to do it too, and they have it just gets people excited. It's
No,
just I don't know,
I think they're going to.
no brainer.
So I really do think that we're going to get some sort of MLG tournament thing very early on in the Xbox lifespan.
Yeah.
Which I wonder. I guess they have Godfall, but I mean, PlayStation has a lot of great games, but they don't really have a Halo. And I mean, it's hard to have a game like Halo where they
Oh
like
well, they have they kind of did. What was that?
Killzone.
Yeah, Killzone.
Yeah,
Thank
like
you.
they've had first person
That,
shooters, but they haven't. I just feel like there's never been a PlayStation exclusive that's had the multiplayer scene that Halo has.
Killzone, the first Killzone, kind of tried to do it, but it died pretty damn quick. I mean, that was
Yeah,
the thing. It just wasn't very good. I mean, Killzone was all about AI and like the efficiency of the AI was so good in those games. But that was about it. I mean, the storyline was okay. Everything else was okay.
yeah,
Uh,
but I think that because when you look at PlayStation's lineup of games and like again, when you want when you want that single player narrative experience, like yeah, PlayStation right now is the place to go. But
yeah,
I think what sold original Xboxes so well was the fact that when your friend had Halo, everyone wanted to play Halo. So like
yeah.
if you wanted to play Halo, you win an Xbox. So now we are going to be at this gen where if Halo Infinite is great and people are playing it and you're looking at your friends list and everyone's playing Halo, people are going to want to buy that new Xbox and they're going to buy Halo Infinite. And it could be, but I don't think there's a game on PlayStation that's like, oh, I need to go buy my PlayStation because all my friends are playing it.
I'm curious if they'll do like somehow have it if you own a Windows system and you had an Xbox account. Um, if they somehow can notify you that your friends are playing. I mean, I know you can set it up to do that, but is there a way to just like because Microsoft has been about secretly turning on options.
Like, what do you mean? Like notifications that say like your friend is playing Halo?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
that
if
exists.
no, I know it does, but you have to set it up. But I'm saying like if they were just to do it in your like little notification bar, um, without you actually setting it up,
I mean,
I could see
they
something like that
definite.
happening.
They definitely could, because I mean, if you have the Xbox app open, it will tell you what your friends are doing. So I think if they just
Yeah,
like set that up to be open by default, which would probably piss a lot of people off, but it's something Microsoft would definitely do. Then
something
yeah,
they
it would
yeah
really
they
just, you boot up your PC and it would take an extra 3 seconds, but then you'd see all your friends playing Halo.
Yeah, because I could see that being, as you said, a big driving point. Because that's what it really is. It is who's buying what and where you're going to be able to play with people, and that's the only reason people buy consoles. Like all my friends that I used to have, that live across the country right now, and all of them are like, "Well, what console are you going to buy? What's the next thing we're going to
Oh
do? What
yeah.
are we going to play?"
Yeah, that's one of the most
Um,
important factors when you're buying a console is like, where are your friends? And that's why cross-platform gaming is so great. But yeah, I just think that if Halo just can do what, I mean, it's got so much hype around it. Like, yeah, everyone's gonna want to buy that new console to play Halo. And I mean, even then, you can play them on your current gen games, so everyone's gonna be playing Halo. But I think it's gonna be a huge holiday season for Xbox if Halo can just really nail it.
so let me ask you, what do you want to see and don't want to see in the next Halo?
It's tough, but like, so the thing I don't want to see, which is the same launch that we had with Halo 5, which was Halo 5 launched and it didn't have Forge, didn't have a content, like it didn't have file shares or theater, and it just was missing all of these things that have been in a Halo game at launch since 2007. And they eventually got all of them, and that's fine, but it was just like the game was just so barren, and then like it took them months to get just infection mode. Like
Yeah,
it just was unacceptable. So that's the biggest thing I don't want to see. But the second thing, which is like my personal opinion, which is like the honestly probably the biggest splitting point in the Halo community, which is sprint. I really want Halo Infinite to not have sprint as a default mechanic.
that's interesting. I actually didn't mind sprint so much. But I can understand what you're saying, like, because it just changes it more to the way it used to be. But mine is just,
Like the
it's
big
like,
thing with sprint is just like when you add that as like a base thing that every player has, it you have to design every level and every gun around that. So like Halo 5 has advanced mobility, so when it has that advanced mobility, like those 4v4 maps started to get a lot larger because you had all this movement, so you didn't want to be bouncing around the walls. So they made
yeah,
a lot
but
bigger maps,
we
and it
actually talked
turned.
about this like a couple episodes ago, and I know you mean it like because it makes everything bigger, but it's the engagements. It's like how fast you can run at a person that's standing there, rather than how fast you can traverse the level per
Yeah,
se.
well, because those levels get bigger, your players are not getting bigger. So like a lot of the maps, and midship is a great example of it.
Yeah.
It's been there since Halo 2, and midship since Halo 2 has been a close to medium-sized map. So like all your encounters are usually close quarters or medium, and there's only a couple sight lines. But when you play Halo 5's remake of midship, the game is a long, uh, like a long combat map, and
Okay.
it's just I don't know. It's very weird. And I think, I mean, one of the when you go back and play Halo 3, it can seem like it's a slow game, but one of the people, or I was seeing on Twitter this comparison, which is Halo 3 had such a small FOV, and when you have a higher FOV, things in the world just appear to be moving faster. And when you see Halo 3 running at like 120 FOV, the game just looks like you're running all of the time. Like it's just a completely different looking game. It's insane.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just. I think it's also just about like how fast you can get into cover. So, if you were to take actions, right? Like if there are actions and every movement to an action, and how fast those actions happen. So, like if you're getting shot at, the moment you get shot at, if you start to run the other way, how fast can you get to cover? And then from cover, how fast can you get up and shoot? So it's like it gets this more quick chaining feel to it, and I think running is very important for that quick, and that's why when you go back to the other games, it feels a little bit slow, is because you can't get to the next action fast enough, and like, and that's why like when we did the advanced movement, that was like on crack. It was like action,
Yeah.
action, action, action. I mean, like because you could just like literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you were doing all these things, throwing grenade, boosting forward, and it just I think that there's something fun about that, about being able to move, do a lot of different things in concession really quickly. Because it's cerebrally difficult, to kind of figure out what your tactics are going to be when you're moving that fast. But I don't know. I like it. I think that there are a couple of problems, yeah, and about the distance between the players, and now if the map's bigger, as you said, and the players are smaller, now there's more space,
Yeah,
and stuff.
I
But
think the like one of the bigger things that changed with Halo 5 was the weapons because you were moving faster. And again, like this is not just because of sprint. It's there's a lot of advanced mobility in Halo 5, but like Covenant weapons were always slower moving projectiles, so like they were things you could dodge, but they could still hurt you if you weren't like kind of paying attention. But in
yeah,
Halo 5, that completely changed to now Covenant weapons are practically hit scan because if people are moving at these higher speeds, those weapons just would not be. They would just wouldn't work well. Like it
yeah,
would never land those shots. And I just think, again, Halo 5 is not a bad game, and it has great mechanics that feel awesome. It's just I play Halo for a certain experience that has been there since the original, and I just feel like it'd be great to go back and like I want Halo to stand out and be a game where you play Halo because it's Halo, not just because it's another first-person shooter.
yeah. I mean, and this does come down to like we are the one of the issues with Halo and its advancement, and especially in movement, is just what you said. Like it's carrying a lot of old stuff with it. All the previous games, all the weapons that came in the previous games. There's always going to be a needler. There's always going to be these things that you need to incorporate into the new game. But while other aspects of the gameplay change, like how do you update those weapons? How do you
Yeah,
change the feel of the things that are kind of stagnant and are expected by the consumer? Like we can't really change certain things. Um, and I think I think you can design it in a way where you can still keep. I don't know. I mean, the other way is like, yeah, you could make the levels smaller, and then you could, because as we know, it takes the same amount of time while sprinting to get to one point to another as it would walking in a smaller. So you could just make it smaller, which would make you feel like you could get to cover faster. There's that, and then you take away the sprint, or at least reduce it and make it. I mean, I don't think you could go back to what the walking speed because you have so many large maps that it just,
yeah. I need to
you know,
find the video that was comparing FOV and how just completely different the game feels. Because yeah, I see what you're saying. Like the older games, when you play them, they do feel slow. Um, But with Halo 3 coming out on PC recently, it was like everyone decided, what does Halo 3 feel like when you have an FOV that's bigger than 70, which was so low.
yeah.
And it literally just looked like a completely different game and feels like a completely different. So I need to find that Senate, but I don't. We shouldn't go down too deep of a
I don't know
Halo
how the
rabbit
field
hole.
of view would change that, but I mean, yeah, again, I'd have to see it.
It's just the perspective of things like
Well, you get to
speed.
you see more, I suppose. Like
I mean, yeah, speed in any game is just the perception of objects moving past you. So when you
like
can
how far
see
away
more,
they. Okay, I got
so when
you.
you see more, it feels like you're going faster, but in reality, like you're not. So, anyways,
Interesting.
to dig ourselves out of Halo, the next one on this long list of leaks is the Outer Worlds DLC, which is interesting to put in this type of trailer or this type of showcase. I don't doubt the Outer Worlds is getting DLC. I think it needs it. A lot of people liked that game. It was a fantastic game.
Well, couldn't you beat the game in like
Yeah,
like
it
five
could be.
minutes or something?
Yeah, it could be pretty short. So I think everyone would love DLC, and it would definitely push that game's sales some more. But again, that's a current gen game getting DLC. Like we want to see the big games that are just really pushing this console to its limits.
Did you end up playing it?
I played a good chunk. I haven't beat it, but I
Okay.
enjoyed, and I really do. I love what they did with the game, so I just need
Yeah.
time to go back.
Yeah, I didn't play it. I just I was kind of sick of Fallout, and I know it's a different game.
Yeah.
And I need to give it an option, but it does still look very much similar in its
Oh, absolutely.
presentation.
That's the point.
Uh, yeah, and I mean it is by the same company, so I don't know. I'll give it a shot.
All right.
But it's by the
So
New Vegas company, right? The people
yes.
that made New Vegas. Yeah, which
I mean,
is
which are technically the guys who invented the franchise in the '90s and in the first place. So
oh, okay.
these guys, yeah, these guys invented Fallout, gave it to Bethesda, and then Bethesda let them make another one. And now they're trying to make. They just wanted to go back and make another Fallout game, and they did, and it's fantastic and does things better than Fallout 4. Um, but again, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
It's a great game. If you do play it, I would love. We could have a whole podcast about the Outer Worlds. Like, don't doubt it.
Nice.
Um, Grounded release trailer. So Grounded is the game where you. It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's also made by Obsidian.
Okay.
I think it's like a survival-y RPG game,
Oh, I didn't even know this
smaller at
existed.
scale. It's pretty cool
Yeah.
looking. I don't know much
Everyone's
about it though.
everyone's giving thumbs up.
What do you mean
They're big.
everyone's getting thumbs up?
Oh yeah, you look at it and you go to images. It's like
Oh,
every image is of somebody giving a thumbs up.
interesting.
So I think that's like a key mechanic or something.
Yeah, it might be multiplayer. I don't know much about it, so I should probably look into it. And I like the idea. It looks kind of cool. Wasteland 3 release trailer.
Oh yeah.
Again, that's great. It's coming out, but I feel like we already know this is coming out. We've seen trailers.
Yeah.
It's just not that big thing to be shown. But again, if you need pacing during an event, that's fine. Time to get water. Um, Gears Tactics on the Xbox release date. Yeah, they said that they
Pretty
wanted to port Gears Tactics over to the console. So if that would be honestly a great launch title, it would be kind of a. It
It
would,
would, I would love it because I didn't play it, and
yeah, I
you
didn't
told
play
me
it
it was so,
either.
you told me that people really liked Geared Stat, like it was preferred over the last XCOM.
Yeah, I've heard it's just absolutely an amazing game, and I knew that they said they wanted to port it to the Xbox. So I was like, well, I'll just wait until then. But I might touch on it a little bit before then. But that would be a great release title, honestly, to have Halo and Gears at some capacity at the launch of the
Yeah.
Series X, especially a game that's such a different game. I mean, there's not a ton of those strategy shooters out there.
Well,
Between
I
there's
feel like
XCOM and then there's that.
I feel like it went under the under the radar a little bit, so it's almost like, and it's already proven to be good. So I think it could be really something that they push, and people will love.
Yeah, I mean, Gears Tactics was one of the first games to come out right when quarantine happened. So like, I remember.
I didn't even know it came out until you told me. I'm like, really? I was like, that's so sick. I have to play it. Because it wasn't very well advertised from my point of view, at
Yeah, and
least.
I think that had to do with the quarantine. Like, I
Yeah.
think they had a marketing plan. They could not achieve that marketing plan with everything that was going on, but they didn't want to push the release. So, yeah, I think it was kind of a hidden release, but everyone that did play it was like, "This is absolutely fantastic." So
And
I
that's
think this
that's
would be a
so great,
great way
Yeah.
for them to say, "Hey, remember this game?" And now that they have the ability, and that would just match so well with Halo Infinite at launch. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Let's see, Compulsion Games announcing a horror game. Those are the guys who made We Happy Few.
Oh,
I didn't play We Happy Few.
I didn't either.
But it looked cool, and I wanted to, and I've heard some good things. And they were acquired by Xbox after making We Happy Few. I think it'd be cool if they made a horror game. I think this is one of the things that it's kind of someone is
This is
really
a
hoping.
rumor thing.
Yeah,
People are rumoring about that. Why do people care?
I don't know.
I don't.
Again, like this leak is just someone was like, this is gonna be the list. So this is
Oh, okay.
I think it's like it's definitely a culmination of any rumor that has been touted about this July event. So, but I guess it would be kind of cool to have a Xbox backed horror game. I don't know if they've ever had a horror game from the Xbox brand before.
Well, like you could say, I don't know, BioShock. Is
Yeah, but
that?
that was multiplat.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's true.
I guess it
Okay.
was grabbed by the ghoulies.
Yeah.
uh, this is a huge one that I'm hoping is a real thing. I mean, for the past, I think year, maybe half year, it's been rumored that the Initiative, which is the new Santa Monica studio from Xbox, is making a
Oh,
new Perfect Dark game.
yes.
Uh, as a reboot, because I think when Phil Spencer was asked what are they making, like what is their point, he said that they were working with things that were old. So I think the rumor is that they're taking an old Xbox IP and rebranding it or
Well,
rebooting
that
it.
was that was a release title.
Yeah, on the 360.
Yeah, on the 360 is so bad, man. I
Yeah,
could barely make it through that game.
yeah. I mean the N64 one was fantastic.
Oh
So
yeah, it was good. But I
yeah,
mean, it still wasn't. I mean, it was still the second best of those types of. I mean, it was no GoldenEye.
yeah. I mean, well, Perfect Dark was literally, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be GoldenEye 2, but they did not have the rights to make another GoldenEye, so they just made their own IP. But like, Yeah, that
Yeah.
was so. I would love to see this rebooted. I think it would build the portfolio of original or Xbox exclusive games. I know, I mean, it has a
You know
female
what's
lead, which is always great.
I'd like to see Time Splitters, to be honest. When was the last Time Splitters?
Oh God, I don't know. That
Because
also I
that
think was multi-plat, but
it,
yeah,
it
Time
it
Splitters
was
is
it was
awesome.
multi-plat, and then it was also, yeah, it had, I mean, it was multiplayer and had, it was such a good game. I mean, I felt like that was the better game of all of them. It was like that was the resurgence of GoldenEye for me. Not Perfect Zero was okay, even on the 64, but it was okay.
Wow. So looks like
It was okay.
Time Splitters Future Perfect, whatever that one was. That came out in '05. So it has been a great 15 years without Time Splitters.
Yeah, that would be awesome if they
That would,
brought it back.
oh man,
I'm
that'd be a bomb
so
if they.
excited.
That'd be awesome. You're right. I would love
Yeah.
to see that. And then the other rumor surrounding that Perfect Dark is that it's going to be Splinter Cell like. So rather than
Oh,
what it
Sneak.
was, it's going to be like a
Gotcha.
futuristic spy game, and that would be. I love Splinter Cell, and I wish every day that Ubisoft would announce a new
But
one.
we have
So
it. We have Hitman coming around, which is more of a Splinter Cell type game to fill that void.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, yeah, it's stealthy and stuff, but it's not like that spy thriller that Splinter Cell was.
I
Um,
don't. Some of the older Hitman were. I
oh
mean, like
yeah,
they were really hard, and it was that same thing where you get the option of, going very stealthy within the mission or not.
yeah. So
But
I think that'd be great. So all right, double. This one is a lot of people don't believe is a real thing, which was Double Fine announcing Iron Brigade 2 and a new PvP game. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think all we're gonna see at this event from Double Fine is Psychonauts 2 because I'm pretty sure that's releasing this year.
yeah,
And that's gonna
again,
be multi-plat, but that's a great holiday game to play. So
it is. I wasn't the biggest fan. I played it way late. Maybe it wasn't because I was a kid, but I think everyone played it when they were a kid, and so they were like, "Oh my god!" Like when they went into the
yeah, I mean
dream
it is a
world and
cult
everything.
classic, so it's not like a critically acclaimed. It was just a cool game, and it's just cool to see the second one.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm not like that super fucking excited about it, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
All right. Minecraft Dungeons Jungle Awakens DLC. So just a DLC to or Minecraft Dungeons. I'm not too. It's whatever. That's again. It's a great game to have. Like it's
Yeah,
cool to have a cool dungeon crawler. Everwild, which is the new Rare game that they announced last E3. Uh, I don't. There's been zero details on it other than a weird, very pretty looking story trailer thingy. I don't know what type of game it is, but it looks pretty, and I really trust Rare after Sea of Thieves. I think that they're making
yeah.
some pretty
This is
great,
really cool.
cool
I haven't even
games.
actually seen
So
this.
yeah,
This
like
is
it's
oh,
kind of I don't know what it could be, so kind of the door's wide open. So until they
yeah,
say what it is, it could really be anything.
it's very
So
artistic.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Battletoads trailer.
I know you're
I
big.
yeah, I love you. I love the Battletoads, and I honestly don't know what to expect anymore because when they announced it last E3, it was definitely met with some mixed feelings. The
Yeah,
art style was definitely like it looked like a Nickelodeon cartoon. It wasn't bad. It just was weird. So, and then it just literally never was talked about again. And I don't think it's been canceled. I don't know. Maybe they went back to the drawing board on some things, but I'd love to I'd love to get updated on the Battletoads game, because
yeah.
please,
And again, I think they need a little bit more love for the arcade for games that are coming out.
yeah,
I mean, there's a couple. It should be interesting because it's kind of what we talked about. How I think where we're going to see is the arcade going to be a very are they going to put a lot of energy behind advertising it or not? Which
yeah,
I don't think they have up to this point. I think they did in the last 2 generations ago. I just feel like they had arcade games, but the advertising was they stopped advertising their
yeah,
games, and like getting excited about it and getting the community excited about it. So Battletoads really feels like that one where it's like, okay, let's get back into this. This
yeah.
sounds awesome.
Like I really want them to give it some love. So hopefully,
Yeah,
I really hope that we see it. And I think if we do not see it this trailer or at this event, there's a possibility that maybe it's not doing so hot. So we'll see. Tell Me Why story trailer. I believe that's a game that's like Life is Strange. Could be
I
wrong.
never played it.
So I think it's an episodic story game. So sure, that's cool.
Yeah, you
Uh,
know how many of those succeed.
the medium gameplay. So I think they showed the medium off a little bit, or they announced it at the last
Oh yeah.
event. Again, I don't know. I don't know. It seems like a cool horror game. I think that was the one that had the Silent Hill composer. So maybe some gameplay could be cool to see. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't really show too much on it
Yeah.
when they showed it off. So yeah, that was their big point when I don't know who it was, but started talking about it, the behind the scenes aspect of the
Yeah.
presentation. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know how much
Uh,
a composer matters, but sure.
yeah, I'm sure it'll feel cool just if it plays great. So,
Yeah,
and then let's see. The next two are we'll see a quick little showcase, not a collage. That's not the word I'm looking for. Montage. A montage of current gen games that are getting enhanced. I don't doubt that. So things like Sea of Thieves, Gears 5, Outer Worlds, just at 4K 60 and pretty. Same with
yeah.
backwards compatible games. We'll probably see a thing that says, "Hey, we're backwards compatible." And then these are
Grand
interesting.
Theft Auto on the
Oh, good
Xbox.
lord. That's not in this list, and I'm so happy. But watch Rockstar pull it out of their ass.
Oh, sure.
So there's rumors that Xbox is going to be buying two more studios. One in which is Poland, or a Polish studio, which has been rumored the past 2 months, like heavily, that they're going to get a Polish studio. And then the other one, which I wonder if you've played
Just
this
a
game.
random Polish studio.
I think they said the Astronauts, which I don't know who they are. I watched some video where they talked about a couple opportunities, but there's just been nothing very concrete on this rumor. So yeah, some Polish studio they're gonna get.
Some Polish. Okay,
So cool.
man.
I mean, again, diversify your
Sure,
audience.
sure, sure.
And then the other studio is a Japanese studio, which I know Phil Spencer for years has been saying that Xbox needs a Japanese studio. So to make just different, like to compete, that PlayStation has a
Yeah.
lot of them. So I think that could be exciting for the brand. And the current rumor, which I've never heard this until this list, so I doubt it, is that this studio will be making a Lost Odyssey remake.
Oh, okay.
Which that would be crazy if they pulled that thing out of the last. I guess that was Xbox 360. But I mean, that game, I don't think
Yeah,
if you
it's been a
asked a
long
normal
time.
person, no one would be able to tell you what that is. So it's
I
crazy
remember
to
when
see
this
that
game
just
came out.
pop
I
out.
never played
Yeah,
it, but
like
yeah,
I
I do
remember
remember
it
it.
and
Yeah.
I own it. It's just when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that is way
It's a
out
little
there.
interesting though, like that it's almost I mean that the we're attacking or trying to they're trying to accumulate companies based off of their nationality. I don't see what the point is. Like I feel like you should be targeting people that have made games or companies that have I mean I suppose they have, that's probably what they're doing in the end, but to say that we need a Japanese company or we need a Polish company or we need, Australian company,
Yeah, and I think there's two
it's
sides to, especially the Japanese one, which is Xbox has never had a presence in Japan. So because they just don't, they're an American company. It just they've never
yeah.
sold well there. So I think there's two sides of there's the business side of if we have a Japanese studio, not only will we have games that are coming that might fit that culture better, but maybe we'll be able to acquire more talent in that region. And I think that's the big thing is like when you open up.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes
So like
sense.
again, like each there's definitely like things about each region and like the difference between a Japanese RPG and a Western RPG. So yeah, the Poland one, I mean, I'm trying to think of Polish devs off the top of my head, which I'm not good at thinking of off the top of my head. But I don't know. Yeah, it is interesting, but I think it's definitely a long-term investment rather than just filling out the profile.
And I wonder how, Sony cares about this. Do they care? I mean, are they
Yeah, I mean,
is it kind
Sony
because
has they have a good amount of American studios and Japanese
yeah, they
studios,
do.
so I
But you
don't
know how that
know.
goes.
Yeah, no,
The
for sure.
Japanese are way more protective of what they give up rather than what they take. For studio, I mean, like that's the same with. I'm not going to do this, but but we don't make any more televisions in the United States, or we didn't. Yeah, yeah, there are no more television companies, and you can go look that up and read
Yeah.
about it. It's pretty interesting. Why?
Yeah,
But
no, and I
anyways,
think I think that question of like, a lot of Japanese studios, you have Nintendo and Sony there to be with. So it's a hard sell to say come join the Xbox brand. So if they do it, that's awesome. And if not, I mean, there's a reason why Xbox has not been popular in Japan. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess we're almost at the end, which is perfect because time-wise we're just about to hit an hour. But Crossfire X story trailer. I don't know what Crossfire X is. I think it's just a first-person shooter from some third party. No disrespect meant. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
just it looks
so
very generic. I mean, maybe it'll. I mean, the name's not very good. I would change the name if I were them, but
yeah,
because
I don't know.
I don't know, putting an X in it just because it's on the Xbox X.
Yeah, and I don't
Meh.
even know if that's exclusive or not. But anyways, and then the next we have Control on Series X. I don't. That game's been out for a while. I guess it's not on the Xbox currently. I think it was PlayStation exclusive by Remedy. So I guess that's cool. But again, it's like show me the future rather than games that we know already kind of exist.
Yeah,
And then the
yeah.
final on this list was Crisis Remastered gameplay, which is funny because this morning Crytek announced that they would be showing off remastered gameplay in 48 hours from now, I believe.
Okay.
So I don't think that'll be at the July event, but we're definitely gonna see that. So
Well, I wonder if they're going to use it as like a benchmarking thing, like go back
yeah,
to their roots, because if it is a remastered of the original Crisis, which the original Crisis was about
yep.
benchmarking, and now there's all these new consoles coming out, I'm curious if they'll just like throw in some ridiculous like ray tracing or just try to push the system as far as they can.
And the other thing I'm
Um,
wondering is, I wonder if it's gonna be on like I'm pretty sure that this remaster is going to be releasing this year.
yeah,
Will it be next gen exclusive? I
I hope that would be
like
amazing.
yeah, like that. What part of me is like, yes, I want it to be, but at the same time, I remember when Crisis One came out and other ones, of course. Like the Crytek engine was the reason it was so great was that it was expanded upon. Like they made it to where like yeah, it took a beefy PC to get that going, but they built so much future tech into this engine where they like kind of future proof their engine and it's like well in 5 years your graphics are going to run this better than they do now so maybe
Yeah, yeah.
they're going to do the same thing if it's running on I'm sure it'll be on the Crytek engine so maybe it will jump platforms but I really want to see Crisis again. I love the Crisis series so
Yeah, I think you can only do that bringing things down to its knees, obviously on a PC, in the
yeah.
PC realm. So, because, that shows people that they're like, oh man, I need to buy the better this, and this to try to get it to run. And then you got Linus out there that's probably going to see if he can get it to run. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the list. So if that were all true, it's a pretty great. I guess it's a pretty interesting showcase, but I don't know.
Yeah, it goes. I mean, it's the week of rumors, so we'll see. I mean, all this stuff is just, with a grain of salt.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll have all these crazier rumors.
Yeah, I'm just excited about, maybe more of the first party stuff, really just Halo. I mean, that's just where I'm going to start to pay a lot of attention.
Oh yeah, I think
I
that's
just,
where we're all at.
I know that we kind of went off of it, but I really just hope that, like, the one thing I really hope they do with Halo is I hope that they bring back, rather than you building up your soldier, and I'd rather the map and the way the balancing is of the map, I want that to be the primary, goal is to try to make a nice balanced map and nice balanced weapons. I just don't want to see any of these loadouts. I don't want any more of the Call of Duty stuff. I hope they dump all the Call of Duty stuff.
Yeah, and
Just
that's I think
just
that's what I
get
was
rid
going
of
back
it.
to with like Halo
Oh,
from its core has always been every single person on the map has the exact same skills, well not skill set. They have the exact same abilities and it's very basic just, move, shoot and then there's the advanced ones like crouch jumping and stuff. But Halo is about everyone is at the same level, but it's all about the sandbox and how good you are at using the game's sandbox. So I
yeah,
want that again. And so
yeah.
we'll
No,
see.
we'll see. We will see.
Hopefully soon.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you did, and we will be back. We are still live, so if you guys want to come and join us on the chat, I don't know, did anyone join?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we're waiting for you. The first one, come and join us. Make us happy. All right, I guess that's it. We'll
Yep.
see you next week.